Hey, what's up, y'all? Um, I'm driving over to Mount Vernon right now, so I thought it'd be a good time to do a video. And there's like they're painting the bridge or something. I don't know. Traffic's really bad, so what else am I gonna do? Instead of get wound up, I tend to get wound up in traffic. But the something that's been weighing on me, especially today, I've been experiencing is the idea of overwhelm. I think everyone probably knows what overwhelmed means, but I'm kind of approaching it from um, the the perspective of someone that is living with trauma. So I would venture to say that it's quite different. So as humans, when we have a lot going on, we get stressed. That's normal. It's not, because I have trauma, I get stressed. No, it's like a normal human thing. But then, for anyone, this idea of overwhelm kind of comes into play uh, when you're pushing outside of your normal stress boundaries, or you're pushing past some sort of a threshold. And what I'm discovering, and I could beat myself up about this, and I have, because that's what I do. But I've kind of turned it around now, and I'm trying to approach it from a more compassionate perspective. That I have trauma. There's been some really bad things happen in my past. Okay, I get it. But something that's really impactful is me understanding that my brain was altered through the events that created this trauma that I live with. So, physical and sexual abuse as a kid is not something that a human child should be able or should have to cope with. But when it happens, our brains cope and develop uh, different tools. Like I've talked before about, I get really defensive. I feel attacked a lot of times when there's a disagreement with someone, and I always turn it on myself to look at what did I do wrong, which isn't. Oh, somebody just had an accident. Which is not a bad thing. Like, self-analysis is a super important trait, I think, for a healthy individual. This coming from someone that's just now trying to figure this shit out. But I think it's normal to, and probably a good idea, to think, okay, what was my part? What did I do that created this uncomfortable, tense situation with this person? That's naturally what I do. And I don't have a problem with that. But I tend to take on more feelings and stress and stuff in those situations because I just assume that I was in the wrong. That part I don't think is probably a very good idea. So overwhelm for me, I'll just tell you this scenario that I'm currently in. Megan and I are in the process of, we're getting an electric car for her, because both of our cars right now are like V8 5.3 or 5.5 liter engines. We use a lot of gas, and Megan drives a lot. I don't drive as much, but so we're going to trade my truck in. We're going to get an electric vehicle. I'll drive her Armada. Beautiful. But then I'm also in the process of selling my Harley Fat Boy. That's been a difficult thing for me. But I found a buyer, but then it's putting together, I need to get a trailer and drive it there. And then we got to do like the title stuff. We got to, all these things. So we were trying to fit it in one day and thought we had everything kind of logistically worked out. And then something went wrong with the appointment or whatever. Like the deal is still going through, but what it ended up doing was all these moving pieces for me are, it's like juggling fireballs with no gloves. And I'm just trying to like keep them going. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's really hard for me. And I'm such an emotional human that my emotions fuck things up. Even though nothing has gone wrong, inside my head, this chaos just is created, and I'm like anxious, unsettled, uncomfortable. Like that's overwhelm to me. And so depending on the appointment and what needs to happen with the registration and the guys in Seattle, but I live here, and those things really throw me off. And it used to bother me, well, used to, like in the last few years. It's really hard because I feel like I'm not capable, or too, like my threshold for stress and like chaotic thinking and everything is quite a bit lower than what I'm thinking normal people have. So things throw me off more quickly, and I get paralyzed. I don't fully understand the science of what happens in the brain, but because of the trauma I have and having a lot of moving parts and logistical things happening, that doesn't set well with me. And so I start forgetting things. I get more emotional and worked up to where I really can't think straight. And I'm not like throwing a pity party or anything right now. It literally is that I can't think straight. And I'm sure you've heard people talk, man, he was so mad he couldn't see straight, or like there's something to that. There's a reason why that phrase fits certain situations, but for me, I have to like stop and zoom out a little bit and just look at, okay, here's when the appointment's supposed to happen. I need to do this and this before then. It's like elementary school for me, and it's really frustrating, and it does make me feel kind of broken or that sort of thing. But I also have a lot of hope that I remember what I was going to say. I have a lot of hope that things are heading in the right direction. But what I'm realizing is, so if any of you watching have struggled with like substance abuse or like alcohol, I'm an alcoholic, drug addict, whatever you want to call me. I have issues with addiction. And Megan and I were talking the other day that the weird thing about this addiction stuff that I'm starting to see, is like more problematic, is that when you remove a substance, when I removed alcohol from the equation of like stress reduction, it was a much bigger deal than I thought. So I lived a lot of my life, even through periods of like not drinking. I quit, for a little while or something. I was trying to quit. And I had no idea, but looking back, it's been quite a few years since I've even had a drink. But I'm seeing that I lived in a state of numbness. And I probably could have told you that if somebody would have point blank asked me that question, but I didn't realize how significant it was, in that without that alcohol or that substance to numb me, to give me a big dopamine rush, make me feel better, put me in a better mood, I didn't know that my threshold for overwhelm was so low. Because after removing that tool, that numbness, okay, I wasn't a healthy, happy-go-lucky person, but I could do a lot more in that sort of mentally numb state, that emotionally numb state. I don't know if this is making sense, because I'm kind of rambling, but when you rely on a substance for years and you use it with intention, as I did, once you take that away, my focus was, oh my God, I really want to drink. When I first quit drinking, and it was really hard, and then getting through that, it's like the physical part is not over, but the worst of the physical withdrawal and like the initial getting off of the substances. You feel amazing, like your body feels great, and you think clearly and all this stuff. But then when things start happening, things go wrong, or things come up unexpectedly, and now you have to deal with that situation without that good feeling of being drunk or whatever, then it starts to really be a problem. So a lot of relapses happen after that initial quitting. You go for a month or 2 months, and it's like, wow, this is amazing. But then you realize you can't really handle what you could handle before. Even if you didn't handle it that well, you can't handle it like you could before. And so it's like you're a little bit of a different person. Well, you are a different person, and having to live life day in and day out without a substance to help you just take the edge off. Or so stress in sobriety becomes this really big beast of like stress. And I want to drink, but I can't. And so that stresses me out more. And then I'm past all that, but now I'm seeing that don't take this the wrong way, but the benefits of alcoholism and using a substance daily is like, it's amazing how different I feel in those situations where I have to, deal with stress and all that. So anyway, I'm just kind of rambling now. This is more for my benefit, I guess. But if you're struggling with substances, that's certainly something to keep in mind, is that we have to learn how to cope with stress and difficult, challenging situations without that substance. And it's really tricky. So now I just cry. I'll just like get overwhelmed and I don't know what to do, and I'll just tear up, and it's really uncomfortable. But hey, that's part of this new way of living and thinking and feeling. It's like anything. The more I work on it and get through some of these situations like now that I'm dealing with, then I'll get better at knowing how to cope without feeling all that extra anxiety and stress. But anyway, that's about all I got. I love you guys. And if you're struggling, big virtual hug. Talk to somebody. Like, make something happen. Don't just lay around thinking about what you need to do. There's never a good time. So just do it. Quit. Stop using all that stuff. All right. I love you guys. Bye.